Hey everybody, it's Bruno and welcome to AndB. Click on the subscribe button below here and you'll never miss an episode. And also you can follow us on LinkedIn and on Facebook on Megapix Media. Enjoy the episode. What are some of the, stereotypical things that you hear from them as to say, I know you're behind in payments, let me help you get out of this problem? What are some of the steps or some of the responses you get?
There's several objections that people have. And the most common is just denial. You're wrong, I'm okay, I don't need any help. And then there's it's personal, it's not your business. Mm-hmm. I've got it handled, I've got an attorney. The denial is the biggest one. Nope, I'm good. We don't need anything. And
so what happens when they're in denial? Because this affects how many people
in San Diego County alone? It's 2,000 people at any given time.
So that's 2,000 family, kids, grandparents, right, et cetera, et cetera. That area of that time and area of denial. Now they foreclose. What kind of extra problems do they fall into?
Well, now they've got a foreclosure on their record. Now you've got tax liability for the deficiency judgment, possibly. Now you've got to deal with an eviction that's going to come up. If you have security clearance because you're in the military or associated fields, that foreclosure opens you up to losing your security clearance. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a hard time getting any new credit for anything, getting a new job, especially if you're trying to handle money, right? Banks won't hire people with foreclosures in their record. And you're not going to have a hard time finding someplace new to live because who wants to get a renter that just had a foreclosure?
So that being said, what are some of the, can you give us maybe one or two quick examples of how you've helped distressed sellers, quickly get on their feet or stay on their feet?
Yeah, there's two key criteria that I deal with when working with the homeowner. And after we've crossed the hurdle of, can you afford to stay here, right? What's your income look like and what's your housing payment look like? Gone are the days where people think that they can get principal forgiveness. So no banks are wiping out your $400,000 mortgage anymore, right? They might work with you to modify your payment so it's more affordable. But if that potential new affordable payment is still unaffordable, you now have to consider that hard decision of, I got to get out. So now the consideration I'm having with that seller and that homeowner is, how much time do you need? How much money do you need? Because those two factors are inversely related. You need more time, you get less money, right? Because I've given people 2 months or 3 months or 6 months to stay in their house longer than if they had just been foreclosed and would have to move out in 2 weeks. Versus if they're ready to move out in 2 weeks, well, I'm going to give you a bigger pile of money. Bankruptcy laws are favorable in terms of delaying a foreclosure. That's the key word, it's a delay, right? Attorneys can also do things like temporary restraining orders to delay the foreclosure. At the end of the day, what an attorney can do is try to persuade the bank to give you a modification. I've talked to some of the top attorneys in San Diego about these kind of situations. They're like, we'll take your money if you want to pay us an hourly rate to review your modification paperwork, but it's nothing more complicated than a typical realtor or mortgage person that has some experience would be able to walk a client through. Right now you just have to pay someone else X hundreds of dollars per hour to review it, versus a firm like ours where we'll review that stuff with you for free. Because if you can stay in the house, we love that. I love if I can help a homeowner stay in the house. They had a temporary difficulty for a few months. They got behind. We're able to help them with their paperwork, convince the bank to let them stay in the house, and we don't charge them, right? Ideally, they think highly of us and give us a referral in the future.
Right, so one of the interesting things is that, walk us through, can an attorney charge you for a modification if they don't receive a modification?
So this is the gray area. I've asked attorneys about this, and it's against the law for anyone, including attorneys, to charge someone to provide a modification for their mortgage until they've got a successfully approved modification. At that point, they could charge you whatever. The loophole that attorneys lean on is that they're just charging an hourly rate, is what some will say. I've seen less scrupulous people say, yeah, just pay us $1,000 a month and we'll process this paperwork for you for the next 6 months or however long it takes. Other attorneys that are a little sharper say, yeah, we'll review anything you want. Our rate is X. You're going to pay us this much for every hour. including phone calls and responding to your emails.
For an investor, a possible investor, to find what you would declare a good distressed deal?
Yeah, so all of that information is available publicly. To go through the proper foreclosure process in California and most states, the bank has to publicly notice and record with the county a document that says this person's late on their mortgage, and if they don't fix it, we're going to sell it in X number of months. That information can now be found by anyone that's interested. It's now public record, and there's data aggregators and websites that put that information together, so you can sort it out even by the address or property type or how much equity is in the property. So once you've identified the list of people that you want to target, now it's just going out and making contact with them. And there's different ways you can do that, right? You can send them letters, postcards, you can knock on their door, you can try to phone call them, whatever you want, special courier. However you can get their attention to talk to you, that's the second step. And the third step is to try to listen to their problem and figure out if there's a solution that you can provide or you could provide with us, knowing that we're to support anyone that's doing this to help the homeowner out, and whatever that means. If that means they get to stay in their house and live there for the next indefinite period of time, great. If that means they have to sell and they just want to negotiate terms in terms of time and money, that's fine too.
So what do you suggest? Another piece of information I learned in your seminar was if I find a listing and I'm just a regular Joe, I want to invest in it, what are certain things that I should not be talking to if I'm not a realtor or an attorney? Or
yeah, you shouldn't be talking contracts and terms and numbers, right? Especially on behalf of someone else. If you're an individual and you're representing yourself, you can do anything you want. But if you're as an individual, you're not licensed as a professional realtor, you shouldn't be talking terms or contract specific issues with the homeowner on behalf of someone else.
So I can give them a call and say, look, I know you're behind your mortgage. It's going to foreclose possibly if you don't pay it. I will offer you X amount of dollars.
Yeah, that'd be a no.
That'd be a no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do that because I guess if you were doing it personally, great. But if you're not licensed and you're representing me, that would be a problem.
Right.
If you're saying, hey, I'll do this as Bruno, I'm going to give you money, I could screw up.
Because I carry that kind of cash all the time.
Right, for sure.
Yeah,
so people have done it. I've done deals for as little as 20. Here's some food for lunch type thing, and let's make this get to
so
the next
if somebody wanted to make it, in all seriousness, if I want to make an offer to them, I could just make the offer to them and then bring in the attorney.
You could bring an attorney or the real estate, just a real estate agent or broker, preferably, that has been through this enough that can go through all the terms, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pitfalls that rookie distressed seller targeted people will make.
Okay.
You want to know what it is?
Rookie mistake number one.
The biggest one is they use the wrong contract firm. There's California laws in place that protect a distressed seller's interests by allowing them a 5-day right of rescission outside of any contract. And that's the biggest thing that even experienced investors don't realize, because they're so excited about getting a pre-foreclosure property into contract that they forget that, or they don't know that they have to use special paperwork that allows special disclosures and a 5-day right of rescission for canceling out of the contract that you sign with them. Because you say, okay, Henish, you're late in your mortgage, I'm going to buy your house and we're closing tomorrow. That's a no. You could close tomorrow and then a year later I could go sue you and you'd have to pay me back because you didn't use the right contracts.
So what's another rookie mistake number two?
Not getting an inspection, right? They look at the house and like, yeah, cool, paint and carpet. You get the homeowner out and then you pull the carpet up and you realize the crack's half-inch wide along the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. That could be a $20,000 fix, that could be a $100,000 fix.
Right.
So that's a major mistake, is not getting an inspector who's got a trained eye to be able to see indications of major expensive repairs.
How about a situation where it's a distressed property, the owner wants to sell it, wants to get out of it, but doesn't live there but has a tenant? What are some of the major obstacles or big rookie mistakes, I guess you can make on that one, having a tenant?
Tenants can be fine. They typically know you've got an issue, because when the bank has to publicly record that you're late on your mortgage, they also have a process server tape it to your front door.
Okay.
So that's getting sent there. It says, notice of default, you're late on your mortgage, you got to do something. So the tenant typically knows. And now, if you're buying a property with the tenant and they've got a valid lease, you have to honor that lease. Unless they're not paying it, then you can try to do an unlawful detainer and evict them. But just knowing what the tenant situation is before you buy it, because if they're locked into a 3-year lease, you might have to deal with this house for the next 3 years and that renter before you're able to flip it and sell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the whole thing about getting into what you're getting into, is that if you don't know how to manage through it. Give us an example. If you have a tenant in a 3-year lease, but you want to take over that property and flip it or something like that, what's a situation that you could offer them?
Who, me? I've always got situations. You can always offer cash to move out early. Hey, here's $3,000. You ready to move next month? I'll help you get another place to move to. I need this property, right? So cash can be a good incentive to a lot of people.
And that's where your team comes into play too. And I just find that every time I come to your office, just to hang out and say hello, there's always a group of people outside your company networking to make things go smoother for the distressed home sellers.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, strategic partnerships are important. This isn't a one-man job or one-woman job. It takes a team of people to get it done properly.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, if you want someone you know to be our next guest, simple. Click below in the description and we'll get in touch with them. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and you'll never ever miss another episode.